Okay, I'm here again with another Kraton EXB. Yeah, these things, they love to fly, but they love to come down hard as hell and snap off wing mounts. So I finally made another wing mount for the Success line. Yeah, this time I snapped it pretty bad. I snapped it right at the shock mount, so there's no screws holding that on, since that always just popped off somewhere when flying. So I put on a little plate that screws the diff into the rest of the wing mount, wherever the hell it is. It's basically next to nothing left. Just have the part that I need to hold the braces in place, so that's all good. So I used a couple screws and got that in there, and now none of that moves anymore. So I came up with this. This piece of monstrosity. It's on the weighty side and it's reinforced a little bit more so that it can actually handle a little bit more flexing. So I'm going to install this thing. Yeah, it's a little bit going on with it. It can hold the wing on. I don't have a place on it for a wheelie bar, so I have to go back to the drawing board for that. But right now I need a wing mount for the stupid Kraton, so this is gonna have to work for now. So how do I install this thing? Yeah, I've installed a couple of these already, and yeah, people don't know how to install it. So first thing I do, since I did this already, is take these 4 screws at the bottom. And get rid of them, don't need them anymore. And okay, so I have the screws on the wing mount itself on the bottom chassis part. Yeah, they're sticking all the way through, so I like to just lift them up a little bit. I don't have to really take them all the way out. I can if I want to, since it's not like they're gonna go flying out somewhere. Okay, so now I have them pretty much flush with the bottom of the mount. So now I can take off the shock tower part of the screws, just take them out. Okay, now to get the shock tower part onto the shock tower. Okay, GoPro. Nice and close. So I used the 2 holes that's right up under the body mounts. Yeah, they're nice size M4 holes for some reason. And the mount goes right on. As you can see, there are a nice amount of screw left to hold on the mount. Yeah, this is pretty much the hard part. Getting on all the washers and stuff up under this thing. It's annoying as heck. I used to take off the shock tower. I used to take off the body mounts, but I actually wanted to make a mount that's a little bit more substantial than normal. So the body mounts gotta stay on. Oh boy. Yeah, I did not make this for people with big hands. And I have huge hands. Yeah, come on. Ugh. Okay, I get it started with a driver. the other side. You know, the other side is just a bit of a pain to light it. Yeah, I gotta remind myself to use some longer screws with this thing. Okay, now that's on there. So, okay, now time to grip that. And I'm not going to use a driver for this. Yeah, that's me being dumb. Since it's M4, it has to use the M3 driver. Okay. Now the shock tower is mounted. Now let's try to get the bottom part on. And as you can see, it's kinda hard to get on there since there's not enough room. But the way I designed the stupid mount is that this bottom part needs to flex. And it can't flex too much or the whole mount is going to be thrusted upwards. So what I do is press on the bottom of the mount, press it up and shove it down. And while I'm doing all of that, I have my driver ready to bolt in the screw. Easiest part. So obviously the way this mount works is that the bottom part is the spring and the top portion is the actual reinforcement part. So the reinforcement part needs to actually stay in place. So all the spring part can actually flex. So the less this part moves, the longer it lasts. That's the main part that keeps on breaking on the Kraton, since there's no flex to that stock mount. So when this part moves, it ends up breaking. Now, people want to know, how does it break? Well, that's just simple physics. When this car hits the ground, literally the whole car, including the part of the wing, can actually hit the ground too. Like, how the heck does that happen? The whole car flexes. Yeah, you don't really need to see that happen in slow motion either, because it looks really bad. It looks like the whole car is just self-destructing. But that's what happens. The whole car flexes enough for the wing mount itself to hit the ground. And that's how it breaks. You can make all the excellent landings you possibly can. Land it on all fours as much as you want to. But since the whole car can flex that much, the wing mount does hit the ground a lot. And when it hits the ground, it breaks. So, yeah. My problem with this type of mount is that the plastic that I use is so flexible that it ends up flexing the mount upwards like this. So, I don't like that. It's just that simple. So, I use a lesser amount of material right here in order to keep this part of the mount from flexing up. Because the more this part flexes up, the more it wants to separate from the shock tower, and that ends up with no mount. It's that simple. Now, the plastic itself can flex. That's a given. But keeping that flex contained is the key to the mount not breaking, or not ripping screws out, or not actually ripping, well, breaking and ripping screws out. Because all of that can break the mount. Now, yeah, it's unbreakable per se, but that don't mean the stuff that you bolted is just gonna actually not break. Because screws can break, period, no matter what. So, if this part of the mount moves, this top part, if it actually moves down in there, that means those screws are getting a fair bit amount of force that you really don't need. So the more force that those screws get, the more likely they're gonna break. And I'm like, oh, it's just a screw. Yeah, but the way those screws break can actually ruin the mount too, which ain't good. It's just that simple. So the least this moves, the better. But unfortunately, Arrma stock mount is the exact same way. Now there's ways of bracing the stock mount so that the stock mount doesn't move. But it does need to flex somewhere. Now, if this moves up, it's bad, but it can flex downward all it wants to because of the reinforcement that's in here, this part right here. That reinforcement part actually keeps this part right here from flexing upwards, but it can move down, and that's what actually saves the mount. If the car lands on this, first the wing is super flexible for the EXB, and the EXB, the V5 Kraton, and the V5 Outcast and Notorious, they all have these super flexible wings. That's one point of contention to keep your mount from breaking. But when the wing flexes and overflexes and all that stuff, the mount can still flex downward and keep your shock tower and your diff and all that other good stuff from taking the brunt of the force, including your chassis, because all of that stuff can get ruined by a really, really stiff mount. If you use aluminum for this mount, and there's a bunch of aluminum mounts, I think Integi makes one, Hot Racing makes one, GPM obviously makes one. They make everything. But if you use an aluminum mount, your diff, your shock tower, and your chassis is gonna take all of that force when you land on that thing. And all of that stuff is gonna be destroyed easily. I mean, I've been landed on this mount, I don't know how many times, and yeah, this is a new mount. I have my old mount that I've been using the damn thing with. but just testing it out. But I done landed on this mount. I don't know how many times. You can see the truck is all dusty and messed up. But the shock tower looks brand new. Why? Why is it brand new? Why is it straight? Because my mount is taking up all the force from me landing on it. And I've definitely tried to land on it a lot to tear it up. Okay, so that's my wing mount installation. Yeah, it is seriously simple if you do it that way. Attaching it to the chassis first, there's literally absolutely no way you can do it like that. No way at all. None. Because this, just the way that it attaches, it's the same way that it acts with the car when you're driving it. This is gonna flex. This won't. We don't need this part to flex. Now this can flex down all it wants to, but it can only flex down when this thing is helping it. Because if that wasn't there, then the whole mount would be just flapping in the breeze and breaking off and all that stuff. So this part is absolutely needed. Yeah, I've been through multiple iterations of this thing, so I know exactly the forces that ends up involved in ruining the rear end of this truck. And yeah, that's just the rear end of the truck. The front end as a whole, another ball game. So I'll leave it there. That's my wing mount installation for the 6S, Kraton EXB, Outcast EXB, V5, Outcast, Notorious, and Kraton. Yeah, it'll work for all of those trucks. Okay.